Well done, good and faithful servant.
And I heard, as it were, the voice of a great multitude, and as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of mighty thundering, saying, Alleluia! For the Lord God omnipotent reigneth. Let us be glad and rejoice, and give honor to him. For the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white. For the fine linen is the righteousness of saints. And he saith unto me, Right. Blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he saith unto me, These are the true sayings of God.
You know, the hopeful elect, of which we believe we are according to faith, and the importance of being of that group called the elect, which are also known as the church of the firstborn in the scriptures, and the spirits created. And it would make sense the Heavenly Father would take the first spirits created to be the rulers of the nation, the aristocrat, if you will. If you know the words, the word aristocrat literally means best rule. The first spirits created are the best ones to rule. That's why Yahushua is the first of the first, and he's the best of the best to rule. You know, Yahushua will be ruling in the next kingdom, and right underneath him will be King David, you know.
But ye shall be named the priests of the Lord. Men shall call you the ministers of our God. Ye shall eat the riches of the Gentiles, and in that glory shall ye boast yourselves. For your shame ye shall have double, and for confusion they shall rejoice in their portion. Therefore in their land they shall possess the double, everlasting joy shall be unto them. For I the Lord love judgment, I hate robbery for burnt offering. And I will direct their work in truth, and I will make an everlasting covenant with them. And their seed shall be known among the Gentiles, and their offspring among the people. All that see them shall acknowledge them, that they are the seed which the Lord hath blessed. I will greatly rejoice in the Lord, my soul shall be joyful in my God. For he hath clothed me with the garments of salvation, he hath covered me with the robe of righteousness, as a bridegroom decketh himself with ornaments, and as a bride adorneth herself with her jewels. For as the earth bringeth forth her bud, and as the garden causeth the things that are sown in it to spring forth, so the Lord God will cause righteousness and praise to spring forth before all the nations.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash. You know, double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessing and salutation to the hopeful that got there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, and what I want to get into today is dealing with just more understanding of techno-feudalism, okay, which is a system of government, all right, linked to technocracy. You know, for the longest, you know, these devils, you know, have been running a system, all right, based off capitalism, you know, in which that system was extremely rigged, all right, for the super rich, okay, and now techno-feudalism, all right, gives the few elite, all right, that have, you know, becoming rich off this capitalistic system, okay, this system of capitalism. Now, all right, it's going to give them more control, okay, it's going to give them more control, all right, with less responsibility, You see? So for the devil of Esau Edom, this is right up his alley. All right. And you can tell, the Lord has this thing playing out for the devil. Okay. For him to think that he has, some type of, momentum, going into this NWO, because, we have to understand that Esau is deceived. Now, he's been, set up to deceive. As the scriptures say, he will go forth to deceive, all right, the four quarters of the world, all right, which he has deceived the earth. Most of what everyone believes, okay, is a lie. All right. When you go into, okay, the minds of the masses, mostly what everyone believes is a lie, based on this devil, enchantments and deception. Okay. But he's the one that's deceived more than all. The fact that he think, all right, that he's going to be able to pull this off, trying to be the most high through technology. Okay. To set up an everlasting system. Okay. On the left hand side, that's going to keep him in power forever. He's trying to bless himself, with the power that the Lord has given him. All right. And this system of techno-feudalism, okay, is what we're seeing, capitalism has morphed into. Okay. And they want to put the clamps on this system with, all right, technology, man, you know, which is going to be, all right, the government of what technocracy rule of technocrats. Okay. So let's go here to Psalms 37:5. It says, I have seen the wicked in great power and spreading himself like a green bay tree. And this devil, he has access to technology. He was able to spread information faster. He was able to, manipulate the masses, more efficiently. Okay, to spread his influence, to increase his wealth, since things, are so fast and so efficient, through his technology. Okay, so this devil has been exalted, man. And he's been able to spread himself, his influence throughout the earth, man. Okay, so what we're seeing, all right, with Esau Edom, this man has been highly exalted on the left hand side. Okay, and that plays a part, in him being deceived because he's so prideful. Because he's been able to elevate. He knows that he's, gone beyond, all right, other heathen empires. Okay, so in his mind, he's walking into uncharted territories of accomplishing, godhood on the left hand side. Okay, so let's go here because now, like I say, these devils, all right, they plan on, okay, let's go here. I'm reading this in the AMP. I got a word, because the devil can never be satisfied, man. He already, the wealth, okay, in the earth is already extremely unevenly distributed. Okay, people are already, suffering. You see, people are already beat down and worn out and miserable and depressed. Okay, and he just plans on taking it to another level. He's destroyed the quality of life. Okay, and with this technology, he plans to lie again, and promise improvement. Okay, and bring on more hell and oppression, man. Okay, it's the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 6. It says, which used, all right, it says, was used to strike the people, okay, in anger with incessant, okay, with incessant blows, all right, or inconsent. I'm saying it right. Is it inconsent? But I got this word looked up though. I want to get into this word. Is it inconsent or incessant blows? Okay. It says, which subdued and ruled the nations in wrath with unrelenting persecution, man. Okay. So this devil, not only can he, not have enough wealth, riches, and resources, you know, but it's just like he can't have enough of oppressing, okay, and destroying people, man. Okay, just being the goddamn tyrant, man. You see, because you go into this word, might be incessant, might be incessant, look like incessant. Okay, let's see. Good tell that. Yeah, it's incessant. Yeah, incessant. All right. So you go into the meaning. It says of something regarded as unpleasant, continuing without pause or interruption. Okay. So this devil just puts people, you know, in one tyrannical system after another. You know, capitalism already, you know, destroyed people. You know, destroyed the masses. You know, just extrapolated all the wealth. Okay, from the middle class. Okay, the lower class. Okay, this false democracy, which you know, people really have no true liberty, you know, in this false democracy. Okay, which democracy is supposed to be rule of the people, but the people really have no say so, just an illusion of choice. Okay, so you went from democracy to capitalism. Okay, now to technocracy. Okay, so this man just, you know, without ceasing. That's why it says unceasing. Okay, continual, never ending. Like the nigga won't stop. All right, this man's mind is made up to just be a never-ending tyrant. Okay, and to enrich and empower himself more and more. Okay, and just to take and take from the masses, man. Okay, you see, this devil gets the tax breaks. You know, they get these corporate bailouts. Okay, here it is, people working 89 hours, you know, in 3 days. You see, you know, people sleeping 2 hours a week. Okay, you know, you see people surviving out 2-3 hours of sleep. You know, I'm exaggerating, but you know, this is hell, man. The people are in. Meanwhile, this nigga getting corporate $1 trillion corporate bailouts. Okay, you know, the taxpayer money is paying for all this nigga projects. Okay, then you got to pay. You paying, you know, the taxpayer pay this nigga to be wicked and be a tyrant over them. This is a hell of a system this nigga got set up, man. You know, as we tap into, you know, what this devil got going on, this nigga has a hell of a system in play, man. All right. And the fact that there's not 24/7 uproars about what this devil is doing, showing you that this man has the masses enchanted, man, even though they think they're awoke. All right. Because what this man is doing, the outrage of the people don't match. Okay. Showing you there's some heavy enchantments that this man has, all right, on the masses, man. Okay. So going from there, all right, because I want to play, because I found another video and she really go in, you know, it's like an 18-minute video. I'm really pretty much gonna let her cook, you know, for the most part, because she, you know, she goes in and she thoroughly explains, you know, technofeudalism. Okay, you know, she understands, and then she's worked in the gig market, you know, which I worked in as well. You know, but she's gonna get into it, you know, and explain some things dealing with technofeudalism. All right, and you know, Lord will, this is informative, you know, and you edify, but you know, there's just more understanding, you know, there's just more understanding of what, you know, these devils have going on real time. All right, and the scripture tell us to what, be circumspect, you know, in these times, man. Okay, so I'm gonna play this, you know, and we'll get back to some more precepts, you know.
None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. That's a quote from German writer Goethe, and although he lived a few hundred years before the rise of technology and never could have predicted where we are today, I feel like this quote perfectly describes the grip that technology has on our modern lives. Our first encounters with technology are usually pretty positive. I bet you still remember your first computer, your first game, your first device, It probably felt pretty exciting, maybe even powerful, like a new kind of freedom.
You've got mail.
But what if that moment wasn't just the beginning of connection, but the beginning of control? A Trojan horse dressed up as an angry bird, or if you're a bit older, a Neopet, or maybe even Steve. And while we were happily distracted, technology quietly embedded itself into every aspect of our lives. I remember getting my first computer, a compact Presario. It was a birthday gift in the early 2000s, and at the time I had only a vague idea of what this machine could be. When I unwrapped the computer, the adults in the room all seemed very impressed, so my 10-year-old reasoning deduced that this big empty screen must be something good, something powerful. I wondered, how could this device seemingly spawn itself out of nowhere and suddenly acquire its own room in our home? The computer felt helpful. It felt hopeful. It felt like a trusted friend. I could download hundreds of songs onto my MP3 player. I could talk to my friends without my parents picking up on the other phone line. It very quickly started to feel like an extension of myself. Little did I know that one day this technology would be used to spread hate speech and propaganda, track our every move not for safety but for profit, use our behavior to train algorithms, saturate our feeds with targeted ads, and decide how far our digital voice could reach or what we're allowed to see. I'd like to think I was a pretty conscious and curious kid, but even if you told me what would eventually happen, I probably wouldn't have cared. I was too busy trying to figure out where in the world is Carmen Sandiego. And that's exactly how it happened. Technology didn't invade our lives by force. It earned our trust, offered us convenience and freedom, and in return we gave it our time, attention, and data. But before we go deeper, I want to hear from you in the comments. How has your relationship with technology evolved over time? And does any part of it feel out of your control? And if you're interested in more conversations about psychology, self-development, and modern life, hit subscribe. This channel is about helping you wake up, both to the system and to yourself. So this video is about a shift that happened slowly and then seemingly all at once, a shift that is still unfolding in front of our eyes. It's about how technology didn't just change parts of our lives, it quietly replaced them. GPS replaced paper maps, streaming overtook DVDs and CDs. AI now writes emails, captions, even code. Bit by bit, the infrastructure of daily life has moved out of our hands and into the hands of platforms. Now, it's not just how we watch or listen, it's how we work, shop, build businesses, and exist. What began as capitalism, a system that's flawed but familiar, has become quietly reshaped into something else entirely. A system not run by governments or banks, but by platforms, data, and algorithms. Meet technofeudalism, a return to lords and tenants. Only now the kings are CEOs of apps and platforms, and the land is made of code. Saying that technofeudalism is replacing capitalism is a big statement, but one that we should be aware of, because if you're watching this, you're already in the system. Chances are, the very platform on which you're watching this is collecting your data and influencing your purchases with targeted ads. So what exactly is technofeudalism? It's a relatively new term, one that I only recently learned about, but I found it to be quite fascinating and worthy of a video. Keep in mind, most of what I'm explaining comes from this book by economist Yanis Varoufakis, and I'll link it down below if you'd like to learn more. And if you purchase it from the link, the techno overlords at Amazon will grant me some small compensation, probably in the form of peanuts, but I'm grateful nonetheless. So, technofeudalism. The term was coined by Varoufakis to describe how modern tech companies have taken on the role of digital feudal lords. Varoufakis argues that capitalism isn't evolving into something freer, it's collapsing into something older. Not socialism, not anarchism, but feudalism, just digitized. In case you slept through history class like I did, let's do a quick refresher. Feudalism was the dominant social and economic model in Europe from around the 9th to the 15th centuries. It was simple. Kings owned the land, lords managed it, vassals defended it, and peasants worked it. Peasants got housing and protection, but no ownership, and a big chunk of what they produced went up the chain. Let me break it down in a more modern, techno-feudalistic context. Think about Uber. Uber drivers would be the peasants. They do the actual work. Coders and engineers are the vassals. They create the digital platform. Venture capitalists and shareholders are the lords, while tech CEOs and owners are the kings, reaping most of the rewards of the labor done by those down below them. The work still flows up, so the wealth still stays at the top. Yet, in old feudalism, you got something back. Protection, community, predictability. Today, you get none of that. The safety net is gone. Instead of a castle to confine you, instead, you're bound by terms of service. And at almost any moment, a platform can terminate your account or ban you from their services. In our modern world, the tech overlords don't just participate in markets, they control the entire terrain. They decide what gets seen, what gets sold, and what gets buried. And that includes your search results, your newsfeed, your income streams, your identity. So what does that mean for everyday people? It means you don't need to be a YouTuber or gig worker to be caught in the system. You scroll and the algorithm decides what you see. You shop and small businesses pay to appear in front of you. You work remote and your keystrokes are tracked. You stream a show and it trains your future recommendations. You use maps, cloud storage, calendars, all hosted on someone else's digital land. Even take this video, for example. Based on your behavior while watching, the algorithm is determining whether or not it should reach a wider audience. If you like, comment, subscribe, and share this video, it will give it a boost in the algorithm. If you watch all the way to the end, the algorithm will prioritize this video and show it to more people. Probably not because it believes in the content, but because a more engaging long-form video means it can ultimately play more ads and produce more capital for the platform. It's virtually impossible not to participate in the techno-feudalistic landscape today. And the defining feature is that you're not the owner. You're a user, a tenant in a digital estate owned by someone else. And the systems that run these estates are destined to extract. Take pricing algorithms, for example. Some airline sites show higher fares to iPhone users because they assume you'll pay more. Uber may charge you more if your phone battery is low because they know you're desperate to book a ride. These systems don't wait for your behavior. They predict it, and they profit. In the old world, peasants worked land they didn't own. In this one, we feed platforms with our data, attention, and labor. But we own none of it. So who really owns the internet? Ownership in the old world was tangible. You could fence it, defend it, tax it. You could walk its borders. You could fight wars over it. Ownership was visible, and power was physical. But today, the most valuable land on Earth isn't land at all. Power today lies in mostly invisible infrastructure. Servers, code, cloud storage, algorithms, attention. Companies like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Meta, and Apple don't just participate in the economy. They own the roads it runs on. They use their ownership of the invisible infrastructure to control modern life. They control access, visibility, monetization, communication, and distribution. They do it globally from a central server room. That's what makes this so different from traditional feudalism. In the past, a king could only rule as far as his horse could ride. Feudalism, a new system where platforms don't just own the products, they own the terrain. And if you want to survive in the system, if you want to participate in the digital world, you pay the toll. YouTube profits off ads for monetization and non-monetized YouTubers. Developers pay Apple 30% of every app purchase. Small businesses pay Amazon just to appear in search, and more if they want to buy the buy box and use Prime to ship their products. Even nonprofits have to pay Facebook to boost posts to reach the very people who already follow them. We don't own our own audience. The platform does. We're just leasing visibility. On the surface, it looks like the internet has made it easier than ever to start a business. And in some ways, that's true. Anyone can set up shop, launch a product, and reach the world. But every path forward has a toll booth. You may be free to open your shop, but you're still renting the street it's on. But unlike a physical location where you have more choice of who to rent from, in the digital space, you need to position your business where people can find you, which usually means using one of the major digital platforms. In the past, businesses could advertise in a variety of places, but now it's mostly digital. It's become less of a free market and more of a permission system. Even after you pay to run ads, the platforms have to approve them, and they can stop the ads at any time without refunding your investment. It used to be that businesses had real options: local newspapers, radio ads, flyers and billboards, community sponsorships, word of mouth in tight-knit towns. But now, 90% of your reach comes down to a handful of digital platforms. Want to be seen? You run Facebook ads. You buy space on Google. You try to hack the TikTok algorithm, or you pay someone who knows how. You could even sponsor a YouTuber. The tools have changed, but the power structure hasn't. And these new tools allow for new forms of psychological control in the world of digital serfdom. In the old world, lords ruled with armies. In the new world, they rule with algorithms. There are no swords, chains, or prisons, just push notifications, nudges, and an infinite scroll. Technofeudalism doesn't need to force your labor. It rewards compliance. It learns your patterns, your cravings, your fatigue, and then feeds them back to you in ways that keep you engaged. Today, we don't just have workers. We have a new form of labor called the precariat, a term coined by economist Gary Standing. It stands for a growing class of people with no job security, no benefits, and no guaranteed income, essentially gig workers. They drift between gigs, apps, and unstable platforms, always hustling and never settled. Capitalism would call them freelancers or independent contractors. But in this system, they're more like digital peasants. I know because I've done it. I've done Amazon Flex deliveries, the people who show up and deliver your Amazon packages in their own car. That was me, and hopefully people will continue to watch this channel so I don't have to go back. And at first glance, delivering for Amazon looked like freedom. Pick your own hours, be your own boss, use your own car. Who wouldn't want that? But under the surface, there's a system designed to maximize Amazon's profits while minimizing their responsibility. Since you're not an employee, you get no health insurance, no paid time off, no reimbursement for gas or car maintenance. Essentially, you take on all the risk while Amazon keeps all the profit. And the app that you use for deliveries can be used in an exploitative manner that offsets any real responsibility. You could spend hours refreshing the app just to catch a shift, all unpaid labor before the real work actually even begins. At least a feudal peasant could go to sleep at night not worried about whether or not he'd have work the next day. And once you're out on deliveries, the routes can be completely unreasonable. Sometimes by the time you reach the end of your paid shift, you still have leftover packages, and you realize it's easier to finish delivering them than to go back to the warehouse and return the final packages. So you keep going, even if you're no longer being paid to finish the final deliveries. And in turn, Amazon receives free labor. And occasionally, you'll be given leftover packages from drivers who didn't finish their routes earlier in the day. And even though those packages were already marked late before you were assigned them, your rating still takes a hit for delivering a package late. Uber plays the same game. Drivers report that the app tracks their behavior and learns if they have a daily earning goal. The app then serves them smaller fees to keep them on the app and working. Then, there's Amazon's Mechanical Turk, a crowdsourcing platform where hundreds of people around the world perform small tasks for even smaller pay. These aren't jobs with titles or names, just fragments of labor, often the back end of automation. You might be asked to tag objects in blurry photos, identify hate speech in tweets, describe messy handwriting, answer questions to train AI models, or rate feet pics to help an algorithm learn preferences. Most of these tasks pay just a few cents, some take seconds, others minutes, and they're usually completed by people who need flexible income, gig workers, students, even the unemployed in countries with limited jobs.
And I'll say this real quick too. The devil boasts in his AI and how smart it is. All right. But it's learning from the people, the masses. Okay. The AI is just a big collection of data. Okay. That it extracts. Okay. From all these devices, laptops, computers, TVs. Because everything is listening and watching all these devices. Okay. It's nothing but military spy technology, surveillance technology that listens and watches everything. That's why Esau makes it so convenient for all this technology to be distributed amongst the masses. That's why you can always go get a free phone. Okay. You can always get a TV for cheap, a new smart TV for cheap. Okay. It's always a laptop sale, this and that. All right. You can always find some type of deals on technology because they want it easy, accessible because, all right, through this technology, AI is being trained. All right, so they boast about AI being smarter than humans, but it's learning from humans and it's learning from free. You're teaching it for free. He'll charge you to use certain AI services, but you trained it for free. You see, the goddamn devil at work, man. Okay, well, I just want to say that I'm gonna let it keep going. Like I say, she go in.
But here's the catch. The tasks are tedious, the rules are opaque, and the workers have no support, no benefits, and almost no resources if they're underpaid or rejected. Only the employer has the ability to accept or deny the work, and if it's denied, the work goes unpaid without explanation. And because of its invisible nature, it's mostly unregulated and barely recognized. In the world of techno-feudalism, you're always working. And when it doesn't feel like work, posting, messaging, sharing, scrolling, every interaction is data. Every moment online is value extraction. You're working for free to train the algorithms that will further control user behavior in the future. And the scariest part, it doesn't feel like exploitation. It feels like the internet. You think you're free because there's no time card, but your shift is your attention. And it gets deeper because now AI isn't just replacing jobs, it's starting to replace agency. It drafts our emails, curates our playlists, writes our essays, suggests how to feel, how to love, how to explain ourselves. It doesn't just automate, it starts to define. And the more we lean on it, the less we sharpen our own judgment, the less we think, the less we remember how to be human. There's even a rising trend of people forming romantic relationships with AI chatbots. So this new system isn't just collecting our data, it's influencing our lives. And the longer you're online, the richer they become. And in modern feudalism, unlike with land, the digital territory never runs out, which means the wealth of the new kings can grow infinitely, while yours stays fixed or shrinks. Is this the end of capitalism, or just its final form? At first glance, techno-feudalism looks like something new. No factories, no storefronts, no assembly lines, just code, platforms, data. And maybe it's not a departure, maybe it's a final evolution of capitalism. A system that no longer relies on production, but thrives on ownership without labor. Traditional capitalism rewarded those who built, who innovated. But today, the biggest players don't build much of anything. They just own the infrastructure. They extract rent. They scale infinitely. And it's why author Cory Doctorow says capitalists hate capitalism. Because capitalism involves risk, competition, the possibility of loss. But what the richest want and now have is feudal stability. A model where platforms replace marketplaces, where gatekeeping replaces innovation, where rent flows up and power never has to move. Apple doesn't care who makes the app as long as they collect their 30%. Amazon doesn't care who sells as long as they control the search results. This isn't a free market, it's a mall where you need permission to exist. And the only winners are the ones who own the mall. We still call it capitalism, but it's just old school branding. It's ownership masquerading as opportunity. It's a slot machine where the house never loses. So what now? We can't log off entirely or just delete our entire digital world. But that doesn't mean we're powerless. Once you understand how the system works, you can start to choose how you want to use it. You can stop chasing validation from algorithms, decide what you actually want to use these platforms for. Growing a business, connecting with friends, even if the answer is just to unwind by consuming brain rot. At least you have a clear understanding on your part of your objective. And anytime the algorithms try to take you off your path, you can decide to do otherwise. You can understand that the main objective of many of these platforms is to keep you on the platform, even if it means showing you triggering or exaggerated content. Understand that what you see on social media isn't reality. You may see a whole bunch of people living extravagant lifestyles, but that's nowhere near the life of the average person. Social media shows you these things to tap into your insecurities. It tries to make you feel like you're lacking in one way or another. It can then try to sell you something to fill that void. Just say no. Don't let it sell you things you don't need. Slowly reclaim your time. Make a conscious decision of where you want your time to go, and anytime you get stuck.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the point, on that. Because, at the end of the day, hey, we need a savior, okay? We need Yahweh Bashim Shai, all right, to come and conquer the earth in righteousness, man. Okay, and this devil is finna be judged for what he's done, what he's established, this wickedness that he established in the earth and what he plans on doing. There's a judgment for this man. So let's go here. Now it's good to do, the detox and from tech, but then it's like, you need it, because it's hell, then it says, you really want to detach from it, but then you can't like you want, it's just, but it's good to be mindful. It's good not to get so distracted, get caught up in the never ending scrolling and clicking and, like she said, the brain rot. Be mindful of those things. You know, let discipline pour over into every area. Speaking to myself, first and foremost. All right, but going here because there's a judgment. All right, for this devil creating this wicked system. Okay, the fact that you got to detox from technology and the madness and all this, because it goes on and on. Like I say, it's never ending. Like this nigga wants your attention, he wants your thoughts, he wants everything. Okay, so let's read this. This is Wisdom Solomon 6:1. It says, "So then, you kings, you rule. All right, you rulers. All right, you rulers the world over. Listen to what I say and learn from it. You govern many lands and are proud that so many people are under your rule. But this authority has been given to you by the Lord, all right, Most High. He will examine what you have done and what you plan to do." Okay, he will examine what you have done and what you plan to do. Okay, for Esau, Edom, it don't look good, man. He has nothing but wickedness and tyranny and oppression on his resume, man. Okay, his man never ruled with any type of righteousness, man. It might seem righteous at moments, but it was all deception. Okay, to gain your trust, so he can go for his real play. Okay, it says you rule on behalf of the Most High and His kingdom, and if you do not govern justly, if you do not uphold the law, if you do not live according to the Most High's will, you will suffer sudden and terrible punishment, man. Okay, and this is first addressed to us. Okay, because we as the sons of God were the rightful rulers, you know, but we failed. All right, and now we're suffering that punishment. Okay, and Esau has been put in power, and then what? Because these tech giants, they all Amalekites. Okay, and these Amalekites claim to be what? The people of the Most High. So now they've taken on this responsibility of ruling in righteousness, man. Since y'all the people, y'all the chosen people, and y'all fulfill prophecy, and all in First Samuel, and you see. So now this punishment is going to fall on you, man. It's going to be way worse on you, man, because you done far more than what we've done. We was in rulership. Okay, it says you rule on behalf of the Most High and His kingdom, and if you do not govern justly, if you do not uphold the law, if you do not live according to the Most High's will, you will suffer sudden and terrible punishment. Judgment is especially severe, all right, on those in power. Okay, so it's going to be a severe judgment on you elites, man, on you devil. It's going to be a judgment on all you heathens, man. Okay, but you're going to get the worst part of the captivity, man. For that 1,000 years, you elites. Okay, every time you come back, you're born into captivity. You're going to get the brunt of the Lord's anger, through His people in captivity, man. As you serve captivity, man. Okay, now you pay them niggas a lie. All right, like it's some type of salvation. No, man. Okay, you're going to be punished harshly, man. All right, and this is addressing, you elites, but all from the least to the greatest of you heathen. Okay, you Edomites, you go into captivity, man. But it's going to be an emphasis, all right, on you elites, man, and your underlings. Okay, it says you will suffer sudden and terrible punishment. Judgment is especially severe on those in power. Common people may be mercifully forgiven for their wrongs, but those in power will face a severe judgment, man. Okay, there's a severe judgment coming for these devils, man. And the only answer to what's going on is these niggas have to be removed from power. Okay, it ain't this ain't no thing of should we try socialism? Should we try this type government, this style government? No, the only thing that's gonna suffice, okay, is a righteous government under Yahushua. All right, That's the only thing that's going to suffice. Okay? That's why you go here, Revelation 11 and 14. Okay, until this happens, the earth is going to continue, all right, to maneuver and operate in chaos, man. Okay? Because no matter what system is in place, as long as Esau, Edom, all right, is in rulership, okay, it's going to be bad. It's going to be corrupt. It's going to be violent. It's going to be conniving. Okay? So let's go here. This is Revelation 11 and 14. It said the second woe was past. Behold, the third woe coming quickly, man, which is this third world war. And as this devil is rolling out, this technocracy, man, all right, you still have, all right, this third world war brewing. Okay? You see, that's gonna play a part. Okay, because these devils, they agree to a point, all right, but the Lord gonna have it where they don't agree, and they're gonna fight over this new system. Who's gonna run this new system, man? And these devils always fight over the kingdom, man. World War I, World War II, all right, the Greek, okay, generals fighting after Alexander's death, okay, the conniving and the treachery of the Roman Caesars and nobility. Okay, these devils always fight amongst the elites. Okay, and as this new technocracy is being rolled out, these devils gonna fight. Okay, and Yahweh Shai is going to intervene. You see, and this is what they're not ready to deal with. Okay, verse 15 said, then the seven angels sounded, all right, and the seven angels sounded his trumpet, and there was loud voices in heaven saying, the kingdom, the dominion, rule, all right, of the world has become the kingdom of our Lord and of his anointed, and his reign, all right, and he will reign forever and ever, man. Okay, so in this third world war, Yahweh Shai is coming to take the dominion and the rulership, okay, from the heathen and take it unto himself. All right, and he's going to redistribute, all right, the dominion and rule of the earth amongst his brethren, man, beginning with the first fruits. Okay, so this is what we got coming, a righteous rulership. This is the only answer, man. Okay, because like I say, this nigga won't stop. Okay, this nigga will not. It will only get this mind. This man's mind is only thinking about how to take more. Okay, and how to do more wickedly, man. Okay, well, Yahweh Shai is going to stop this, man. And set up righteousness forever. Okay, so that's the point. Just want to get into that. I say she thoroughly explained it. Lord will, you brothers and you sisters edified. Once again, I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessing salutations to the whole flesh. Shalom.